I'm Scott Fishman.
I'm John Dwoskin.
And this is the 7-Minute Salesman.
Welcome, everybody.
Hey, John, what's going on?
Fish, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Doing really good.
Yeah, why are you doing so good this morning?
I don't know. I just woke up in one of those days where you just wake up and you're ready to take on the world.
Yeah, I know. I kind of feel that way too today. It feels like January is on its way. I know we talked about the January effect last week, and it's the 20th. And not only does it feel that way, but the vibe I'm getting from a lot of coaching clients that I have, that things are starting to pick up quickly.
Nice. That's very good. Yeah, we talked about that last week, and I got some good feedback on that. And I did also get some feedback when people said, you should have told us about that on January 1st. So,
or in December.
Exactly. Like,
right.
You're telling us about the January 1st, the day it's, quote unquote, going to end, or going to quote unquote end.
About mental note for next November, December-ish.
Yeah. So, John, I wanted to talk a little bit today about something that has nothing to do with timing. You could do this anytime, but
I like it.
Yeah. So it's coaching yourself, doing your best to get better, and self-evaluation is something that I know we avoid quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And I think part of the reason is we don't want to kind of have the truth smack us in the face.
Yeah.
But it's so important. And one thing that made me think of this is I was actually going back over my last few weeks and kind of journaling a little bit on what I had done business-wise. And I noticed that some of these folks that I deal with, I'm doing B2B, and some of the folks I'm dealing with, I'm calling them literally at almost to the minute, the exact same time and exact same day of the week that I did the previous week or the previous day. And I'm noticing like trends like that. Like, why the heck? What's triggering me to call the Smith file on Tuesday at 2:30? And I look at time zones and everything, and it's things that I'm doing to cause myself to find that prospect to call at that time. And I need to pattern interrupt myself quite a bit. And that's just one thing that I noticed was, being repetitive and not trying to catch people at different times and not trying to catch people in different methods. We have air, land, and sea. And I literally found myself a couple times just not falling into a rut, but doing the exact same thing over and over again and expecting different results, which we all know is the definition of insanity. Yeah.
Well, I love the topic of self-coaching. I think it's so important. And I just, let's give our listeners a couple tips. And I love what you're talking about as just the self-reflection of pattern interruption. I think one of the things that is really important for people to consider doing or just do is figure out whether it's every day, once a week, twice a week, you can determine the minutes. I would suggest no less than 5 to 10 is 5 to 10 minutes a week, maybe 5 minutes a day, is take executive time to really incorporate and make space for self-reflection. Review your week. I mean, it's kind of like we're all so busy doing 1,000 things and running. And I think it's human nature to think that if we're not moving, then we're not busy or we're not doing something or we're not effective. But really, we need time to process, reflect, and review. And we need to make an appointment with ourselves no differently than we would a client, a prospect. It doesn't matter. And so what I'm going to suggest everybody does as a ritual, which I'm a big believer in rituals. We've talked about rituals on the show a lot, is take 5 or 10 minutes. I say 5 because I think it's easier to start with 5, and make a calendar invite with yourself at a specific time, maybe the beginning of the day, the end of every day, once a week, twice a week, you determine, but no less than, I would say, once or twice a week, and schedule that time of just self-reflection and self-coaching to review your week, to kind of, you're intuitive fish. So you're able to, pick up on pattern interruptions and then maybe change things on the fly. But I think a lot of people are not, and so they'll think about it and they won't implement change. And so I'd like to see everybody from this who are listening start to implement the change of taking the executive time on a daily basis.
Right. And I'll take the compliment that I'm intuitive, but I'll tell you honestly, if I hadn't done this exercise, I wouldn't have caught this on the fly. It was something that I realized after looking back. So you challenge people, take time, put it in your calendar. And it doesn't matter if you do it in the morning or the afternoon or evening,
Right.
like John said.
Doesn't matter.
But if you do it at the end of the day, you'll be set up to start your day better. If you do it at the beginning of the day, you'll be set up to finish your day better. It's only going to help you. So go back and look and see what you did. Look at times that you might have wasted time. Give yourself a few minutes back. And at the end of your week, reflect on your week and see where you ended up and where you could have ended up had you actually taken advantage of your time in the best fashion.
Yeah.
And on Sundays, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, and then on the same token, if you're reflecting at the end of your week, that's also the beginning of the next week, and spend a few minutes. It doesn't need to be an in-depth plan if it's not necessary, but spend a few minutes at least thinking what's going to happen this week, set your own goals, and figure out where you need to be at the end of the week.
Right. And maybe a couple of questions that you can ask yourself, if we want to keep it simple and limited, is what's working, what's not, where can I be more effective? Right. I mean, if you just stick with those questions, then you can start to kind of reevaluate and just kind of move things around. Because a lot of times, if you're 90% there, to go from 90 to 91%, that 1% differential, it makes a big difference in your business.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so some questions, some rituals. How else, Fish, can people coach themselves and really self-evaluate? Because I think, and you've touched on this, and I agree, it's about being really real with yourself, right? No bullshit. I mean, just complete like, hey, this is working, this isn't, and getting out of that that ritual that maybe is not working, but it's just comfortable.
Right.
How do we break that?
Well, I guess go back and look and see, where did you let yourself off easy? That's something very simple. What I call letting myself off easy is maybe I know I haven't caught him at the office the last 5 times, and I really kind of might not feel like having a conversation now. So I'm going to call him at the office. I'm not going to try his cell as well. I'm going to maybe take a shortcut here and, give myself that feeling of, yes, I'm putting forth effort, but am I really doing something that's leading to a sale, or am I just putting forth effort to put forth effort and feel like I accomplished something?
Yeah, that's well said. And, one of the things that I think gets in people's way, and I don't know if we've ever really talked about this, but I talk about it a lot when I'm working with clients, is resistance. There's this life that we all are living, and then there's this life that we want to live, and where we want to grow. And then in between that is resistance. And the more that we need to do something, the more we resist it. And resistance of not, taking executive time, not looking at the patterns and interrupting, it just takes a little bit of time, and resistance will prevent you from doing it. And you really got to push through that resistance. That I think is really important. And that's what you're talking about, right?
Absolutely.
Just kind of being self-aware that like, okay, I can like come up with all the excuses and justify everything, or I can resist the resistance and just create a different plan, which takes in essence 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah, it does. It's not that difficult. It's really just looking back and looking forward. It's not rocket science.
Right.
But it's definitely helpful. And I think one of the main things that we look at is where our levers are. Kind of like you said, how can I improve my business this week? How can I improve any one of my metrics? And really finding that lever that actually will do the best for you is very important. And I will be 100% honest. Usually that lever, no matter who you are, is just effort. Are you doing the best? Are you working as hard as you can? Are you working as smart as you can? Is one more dial going to get you a deal? You never know, right? So just putting forth a little bit more effort usually gets the job done, and it's having the right effort, like we talked about. Calling people when you know you're going to get them on the phone, not when you know you're not going to get them on the phone. Trying to make the sale, actually closing. Not just making a follow-up call and saying hi. Actually closing for the business. Yeah, too many people miss that.
I agree. If you can look yourself in the mirror at the end of the day and say, today I did the best I possibly could, and tomorrow I'm going to stretch myself a little bit to be a better version of myself and do it just 1% better. But if you ask yourself that question, say, did I do the best I could do in every element of what I did today? And then you intuitively know that there's 1 or 2 or 3 areas you didn't. Take your executive time and kind of elevate that a little bit. Take one at a time. Make it simple.
Right. Do something with it. Take that information and grow. Like you said, 1% better every single day. You're going to end up there is an equation there, and I'm not that good with math, so I'm not going to have the equation, but eventually you'll be at 115%.
Right. Well, if you increase 1% a day, you're growing 365% throughout the course of a year.
Okay. There you go. That's the math.
That's the math.
On that note, we have 100% of ourselves that are ready to sign off today. We really appreciate you folks listening. The podcast has been growing by leaps and bounds in 2019, and it's really great to see more people gaining the insight that they need and gaining traction in their business. So thank you for listening, and please enjoy your day, enjoy your week, and get that 1% better every single day.
Sounds good. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Fish.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. Now, no excuses. It's time to put everything you listen to into action. Stop bullshitting yourself. Stop lying to yourself. Stop listening and doing nothing with this information. Take this information, implement it into your day, kick some ass, grow your business, grow your sales, make more money, have more fun, have a better life, period, the end.
What he said.